Can I ask you a question? When was the last time you interviewed your own career? I'm not talking about updating your resume or asking for promotion or scrolling through job postings. I mean, really sat down and interviewed your career. Because I have a feeling that if I ask most successful women that question, their answer will be, I don't think I ever have. Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Suarez, an executive coach who turns complexity into clarity. Every week, I help professional women think more strategically about their careers so they can confidentially build what's next. In my last video, we talked about something I believe with all my heart. Clarity rarely arrives before action. It usually shows up afterward. But that naturally raises another question. If action creates clarity, how do you know what action to take? After coaching hundreds of executives over the past several years, I have learned that the answer usually doesn't begin with a strategy. It begins with a conversation, not with your manager, not with your mentor, not even with your spouse or your closest friend. It begins with the conversation you're avoiding with yourself. And here's what fascinates me. Most professional women spend years thinking about their careers. Very few spend intentional time questioning them. Those are not the same thing. Your career deserves a conversation. Every year, companies update performance. We evaluate our finances. We schedule our annual physicals. Some of us even do annual wellness checkups. But when was the last time you evaluated the relationship you're having with your career? Not whether you're successful, not whether you're making enough money, not whether you're performing, but whether your career still fits the woman you've become. Because here's something I have learned. Sometimes nothing is wrong with your career. Sometimes you have simply outgrown it. And if you never stop long enough to notice, you'll spend years solving the wrong problem. That's why I want to share 3 questions I often explore with executive coaching clients. These aren't questions to answer quickly. They're questions to live with for a little while, because sometimes one honest question changes everything. Here's the first question. If your position disappeared tomorrow, what would you actually miss? Notice I didn't ask, what would you lose? I asked, what you would miss. Would you miss leading people, creating solutions, serving clients, being part of a team? Or would you mostly miss the paycheck, the title, the prestige, or the security? Those answers tell very different stories. I remember coaching a senior executive. I'll call her Janet. Janet had everything most people would want: a great salary, respected leader, an organization that valued her, a team that loved working with her. From the outside, she looked incredibly successful. But every Monday, she felt heavy. Not burned out, not overwhelmed, just disconnected. One day I asked her, Janet, if your position disappeared tomorrow, what would you miss? She answered immediately, my team. Then I asked, what else? She became very quiet. Finally, she looked at me and said, honestly, I don't think I'll miss the work itself. That wasn't the end of our coaching. It was the beginning, because for the first time she realized she wasn't trying to escape a company. She had simply outgrown the work she had become exceptionally good at doing. Those are 2 very different problems. So the second question that I normally ask is, what part of your work gives you energy and what part simply proves you're competent? This may be one of the biggest traps successful women fall into. We're rewarded for becoming good at something. People trust us, they depend on us, they recognize us for it. Eventually, our competence becomes our identity. But competence and fulfillment are not the same thing. I coached another executive who came to me convinced she needed to leave her organization. She believed she had reached the ceiling. As we talked, I noticed something. Whenever she spoke about strategy, her eyes lit up. Whenever she described bringing people together, influencing decisions, thinking about the future, her energy completely changed. But when she talked about the technical work she spent most of her day doing, she sounded like a different person. So I asked her, what if your next opportunity isn't outside this organization? What if it's outside the box everyone, including you, has placed you in? Over the next several months, she intentionally raised her hand for different work. She volunteered for projects outside her expertise. She started contributing in conversations she would have stayed quiet in before. Eventually, she helped create a leadership role that had never existed. She didn't become someone new. She simply gave herself permission to become more of who she already was. Here's the last question, and it's the one I hope stays with you all week. If you met yourself 5 years from today, would she thank you for staying exactly where you are? Take a moment. Really think about that. Would she thank you for continuing to wait? For hoping someone eventually notices your potential? For postponing conversations you already know you need to have? Or would she lovingly ask, what were you waiting for? I don't ask that question to create guilt. I asked it because I have yet to meet a woman who regretted becoming more honest with herself. Honesty changes the quality of your decisions, and better decisions change careers. So this week, don't try to solve your career, just interview it. Take these 3 questions I listed, write them down, journal about them, see what surprises you, because careers rarely change because of one perfect answer. They change because one honest question refuses to leave you alone. If you'd like help beginning that conversation, I've created a career clarity assessment that will help you better understand where you are today, what's getting in your way, and where your greatest opportunity for growth may be. You'll find the link below. And if these conversations are helping you think differently, not just about your career, but about yourself, I hope you'll subscribe. Because next week, we're going to talk about a mistake I see brilliant women make every single day. You know what it is? They give too many people a vote in decisions that belong to them. Until then, remember, you don't have to start over. You just need to know how to build what's next.